Hello children, how are you all? Hope you are safe at home. Student, today we will going to learn GK and our topic is living and non-living things. Here we can see a various type of photographs. This is living and non-living things. Living and non-living things, the things we see around us can be divided into two groups, living and non-living things. Here we can see a girl. Girl is a living things and the photographs of the aeroplane. Aeroplane is a non-living things. So, children, today we are going to learn living and non-living things in detail. Okay, now we will going to in next slides. What are the living and non-living things? Living things are the things around us which are able to eat, grow, move, respire, and breathe, as well as extract. And non-living thing is the opposite of the living thing. These things don't have a characteristic of living thing. Living thing is a breathe, and non-living thing is can't have a breathe and don't have able to eat, grow, move, or other things. So, children, we are going to learn in next slide. Which of these things living and which are non-living? Here we can see various photographs of living and non-living things. Living thing is a, here we can see a fish, dragonfly, bird, zebra, crocodile, frog, flower, tree, mushroom. These are the living things because they are grow and breathe. And then non-living things is a doll, teddy, chair, ball, teddy, and skateboard. These are the non-living things. Example of non-living things. Because of a non-living thing is can't move and can't breathe. Here we can see a various example of living and non-living thing. So children, everyone can understand about this. So we are going to learn in next slide. Natural and artificial man-made. Here, natural things is a living being and the artificial or man-made we call it non-living things. Here we can see a stone, doll, chair, teddy, cloud, mountain, ball, skateboard, the wind, the moon, and the storm. The natural things is the moon, storm, mountain, cloud, and stones. These are the example of natural things because they can't man-made, and artificial things or man-made things means they made by man. These are the dolls, chair, teddy, ball, skateboard. These are the example of non-living things or man-made things. So children, these are the example of non-living things or living things. So we all are learn this slide. Okay children, now we will going to learn in next slide. Living thing is move, grow, breathe, excrete, and eat. Here are the cycle of living things. Living thing is move, can grow, can breathe, can excrete and can eat. And non-living things is can't move and they can't grow, they can't breathe and they can't excrete and they can't eat. Here we can see the cycle of living things. Okay, now we will going to learn in next slide. Movement. These are the example of living thing. The living things, all the living things need to the ability to move. For example, a girl is walking. Here we can see the girl is walking. All living things is can movement. Okay, now next. Grow. All living things need to grow and stay healthy. Therefore, they can take in substance such as food and energy to stay healthy. For example, humans from a baby to a big boy. Here we can see the humans example of human. First of all, he is big, he is baby and then a big boy. So the all living thing can grow and they can need to grow. Okay children, everyone can understand this slide. So we will going to learn a next slide. Respect. All living things must be able to exchange gases with the atmosphere, which is called respiration. Living things must like in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Every living things need to can breathe and the trees are also the example of the living things because trees also can breathe. So here we can see the trees and man and all living things can breathe and they need to breathe. Okay, children, now we will can see here a seeds grow to the become a tree and a baby grow to the become an adult. Here we can see the two types of living things. First is a seed and second is a baby. Baby grow to become an adult and then seed become a tree. Here are the two example of living things. Okay children, now everyone can understand about this slide. So we will going to learn next slide. Move and need to food. Here we can see the example of living things. Here we can see a flower, dog, cat, and also a human. They are the example of living things. People, animals, and plants are the living things. Here we can see a dog, cat, human, and plants. They all are need to breathe and need to grow and also a need to breathe. Okay children, now we will going to learn a next slide. All living things die. Here we can see the picture of skeleton and the plants is also die. Here all living thing can die and non-living thing is cannot die. Okay, here we can see a viviparous animals are born from their mother's womb and the oviparous animals are born from an egg. Here we can see the frog egg, crocodile egg, and plants are born from the seeds. Here we can see a plant born in seeds, and also viviparous animals like a whale, cow, and also a child is born from their mother's womb. Here are the example of the living things. Okay, now children, we are going to learn next slide. Example of living and non-living things. Here we can see a ball and car. They both are example of non-living things. Here we can find the ball is can't breathe and the car is also can't breathe and they can no need to breathe and also grow. Okay children, now we will going to learn in next slide. Non-living things can't grow, move and don't need food. Here we can see a non-living thing is can't grow, they don't need to food. Here we can see the example of table, a car, a pencil, a house, a doll, a fan, and a mountain. Can and clouds are non-living things because they can't grow and they can't move and they don't need to food. Here we can various example of non-living things. Okay children, now everyone can understand about non-living things. So we will going to learn next slide. Non-living things, the ball, car, clock, and book. These are the example of non-living things. Non-living things do not eat, food do not grow, and do not breathe, and do not have babies. Here we can see a ball, car, clock, and the book. These are all non-living things, and these are not to do not to eat food and also do not grow and do not breathe and do not have a baby. So children, everyone can understand about this living and non-living things. So we will going to learn in next video what is a living things and what is a non-living thing. Here we can see various types of living and non-living things, examples and also a slides. Here we can see the example of living things and also a cycle of living things. Living things can grow, breathe, exhale, eat, and move. Okay, here we can see a various type of living and non-living things. Here we can see a example of living and non-living thing. So children, we will going to learn our next video.
Characteristics of living and non-living things. In this module, you will learn about the characteristics of living and non-living things. Learn to differentiate between living and non-living things. Sid and Alicia are doing their homework in the lawn. Come, let us join them. Look, Diamond is running behind a butterfly. Alicia and Sid, on the other hand, are sitting on a chair and are busy studying. We can see that Sid and Alicia are surrounded by many things. Some of these are living, while others are non-living. For example, Diamond and the butterfly are living things, but the notebook, the teddy, and the chair are non-living things. Just like Sid and Alicia, we all are surrounded by living and non-living things. Do you know how a living thing is different from a non-living thing? Well, there are certain characteristics that a living thing has but a non-living thing doesn't. Come, let us look at these features one by one. All living things need food. Since plants are living things, they also need food. They make their own food instead of depending on outside sources. Food provides energy to all living things, which allows them to work and grow. Another characteristic of living things is that they grow. A baby grows into an adult. A chick grows into a hen. And a sapling grows into a plant. All living things breathe. Animals breathe using their special body parts. For example, a fish uses its gills to breathe. Human beings use their lungs to breathe. Insects use these holes to breathe. Plants breathe using tiny openings present on the surface of their leaves. These tiny openings are known as stomata. All living things move from one place to another. Even though plants do not move from one place to another, certain plant parts show movement towards the sun. All living things produce young ones of their own kind. Animals can produce young ones either by laying eggs or giving birth to a new animal. For example, a hen lays eggs, while a cow gives birth to its calves. The process by which living things produce their young ones is known as reproduction.
Ouch!
Another characteristic of living things is that they can feel. Living things also feel the changes in their environment. They undergo changes as the environment around them changes. A change in the environment that causes a living being to change is known as stimulus. The change in the living being caused by the stimulus is called the response. For example, when we touch a hot object, we immediately move our hand away from the object. Here, the hotness of the object is the stimulus, and the removal of the hand is our response. In the same way, in a particular season, some plants shed their leaves. Here, the change in the season is the stimulus, and the shedding of leaves is the response. A thing is living only if it shows all the characteristics we have just discussed. If it does not show any one of these characteristics, it is a non-living thing. You may have often seen a balloon increase in size. That does not mean that the balloon is a living thing. Its size increases only when we blow air into it. It cannot grow on its own. Similarly, even though a car moves from one place to another, it is a non-living thing. This is because a car does not eat food and grow. Moreover, it does not move on its own. It moves when we drive it. Hence, both balloon and car are non-living things. Let's recap. Living things need food to grow. Living things move on their own. Living things breathe. Living things reproduce young ones of their own kind. All living things can feel. Living things respond to stimulus. Anything that does not show all the characteristics of living things is a non-living thing.
The living and the non-living things. Look around and what do you see? We can see trees, people, different animals like dog, cat, houses. In the sky you can see sun, cloud, maybe moon. So whatever we see in the environment around us is either a living thing or a non-living thing. We already know about the living things and the non-living things. Now let us understand it in more detail. All the living creatures or the organisms breathe like the human beings, dog, fish, etc. But why is it so? It is because the living things need energy to live and grow. The living things breathe oxygen which breaks down the food to produce energy during the respiration process. And how is this energy utilized? The living things use this energy to move, to grow, and also to perform all the activities. All the living things respire, even the microbes like the bacteria. But the non-living things don't respire or breathe. So all the living organisms need food for energy. The green plants, as we know, make their own food during the photosynthesis process, and hence they are called autotrophs. Auto means self and the Greek word troph means nourishment or food. Hence, the green trees are autotrophs, meaning they can make their own food. The animals, including the human beings, depend on the plants directly or indirectly for the food. Hence, they are called heterotrophs. Hetero means others, so heterotrophs depend on others for food. So, all the living things take in food, but only a part of it is utilized by the body. What happens to the rest? Also, our body produces some waste in other life processes. There are several processes that take place inside the body of a living organism, like respiration, digestion, etc. In each process, some waste material is produced. These harmful waste have to be removed from the body. The animals remove these through urine and sweat. Carbon dioxide, which organisms give out during exhalation, is also a waste product. So the living things get rid of these waste by the process which is known as excretion. You know, the living things get rid of these waste by the process which is known as excretion. So the living things not only eat food but also excrete, which is an important characteristics of all the living things. And what about plants? The plants also excrete the carbon dioxide, water, etc. through the stomata in the leaves. But a non-living thing doesn't need any food, nor does it excrete. The living organisms respond to the stimuli. Like when we touch something hot, we withdraw our hand immediately. Withdrawing hand is the response, and what causes a response, that is, touching something hot, is the stimulus. Here, the stimulus is heat. Also, if anyone provokes a stray dog, it starts barking. So barking is the response to the stimulus of provocation. You know, even plants respond to the stimuli. If you touch the leaf of a mimosa plant, which is also called touch me not, it folds in the response to it. Here, your touch was the stimulus to which plant responded by closing its leaves. The plants also respond to the sunlight. Generally, they grow towards the sunlight only. In some plants, the flower blooms only in the day. The sunflower follows the sun. That is, the flower keeps its face always towards the sun. Also, in some plants, the leaves open in sunlight and close after the sunset like in the case of false shamrock. But a non-living thing such as a table would not move or bark when you touch it or bang it or put a hot pot on it. So, a living thing doesn't respond to any stimuli. We all know that the living organisms reproduce to give birth to the organism of its own kind. Like the hen gives birth to chick by laying eggs. Even the microbes like bacteria which cause disease reproduce to increase its number. Hence we can say reproduction is the basic characteristic of all the living things. A robot can move and may also look like a human being, but it doesn't need to eat food as it runs on electricity or on battery. It also doesn't need to breathe like us or the other living organisms. So it's a non-living thing. Hence, a robot cannot give birth to baby robot as only living things can reproduce. We know all the things are made of matter and the matter is made of molecules. But all the living organisms are made of cell, which is the unit of living organism. The number of cells in an organism can be one, like in the microbes, to many billions, like in human beings. But the important thing to remember is all the living things are made of cells. When a single cellular organism grows, it is the cell which grows in size, like in an amoeba or the bacterium. But when the multicellular organism like us human being, lion, cat, etc. grow, the number of cell also grows in the body as the cells reproduce to make new cells. But the non-living things cannot grow as they are made of just matter and the molecules, but not the cells. So, the non-living things cannot grow like the robot cannot grow. All the living organisms have a limited lifespan and finally all of them die someday. Each living thing follows a cycle by which it comes into the world, grows into an adult, reproduces to give birth to a new organism of its own kind for the next generation and then dies. This amazing cycle is called the life cycle. All the living organisms are not same. A dog differs from the cat. A butterfly differs from all the other insects. There are many kinds of butterflies. They may look different, but their body structure, food habit, and many other things are similar. The group of such similar kind of organisms is known as species. You know, there are about 16 lakh species of animals and about 4 lakh known species of the plants. The members of a species have same body parts, same food habits, etc. And last but not the least, an organism gives birth to the organism of the same species, not of different type. So to sum up what we learned today, there are many characteristics which together differentiate a living thing from a non-living thing. The living things need food for energy and they remove the unutilized food and other waste through excretion. But non-living things don't need food. All the living things respire to get energy from food. But non-living things don't respire. The living things grow, but the non-living things don't grow. All the living things respond to the stimuli. Many living organisms show emotions like anger, joy in response to the stimuli. But non-living things don't respond to the stimuli. The living things are born, then they grow, reproduce, and finally die. It's the wonderful life cycle. Non-living things are neither born nor they die. These are either man-made or made by the nature. They don't grow, they don't reproduce. That's all for now. Bye bye, children.